There has been some huge news in the Pokemon world, on top of it being the 25th anniversary of the franchise and the card game exploding in popularity thanks to Logan Paul and resellers and the prices of the cards going up. They had a Nintendo Direct just for Pokemon, and people were very excited and nervous because it was like this is Game Freak's last chance to kind of do something big and something good, or a lot of people weren't going to be interested anymore. You know, we've been getting things like Pokemon Sleep, which nobody asked for and nobody wanted. So, folks, I'm happy to say we are getting the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes in the form of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Now, Josh, I know that as of recent, you've been more interested in Pokemon, but you didn't grow up with the franchise like me and some of our other friends. So
that's true.
Let me just run through why people were expecting this. So,
okay,
back in the day, it was Pokemon Blue or Red and Green in Japan, and then Red and Blue in America. They did the yellow version. That was Gen 1.
Right.
Gen 2, they did Gold and Silver and Crystal. Gen 3, they did Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. And then Gen 4, they did Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Okay. So every game up to Gen 4 has been remade. So Red and Blue were remade as Fire Red and Leaf Green for the Game Boy Advance. And then Gold and Silver were remade as Soul Silver and Heart Gold on the Nintendo DS.
Oh.
And then Gen 3, Ruby and Sapphire, were remade as Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire on the 3DS. So naturally, and that wasn't too long ago, right? Or it was, but relatively
speaking,
yeah. So the next one obviously was going to be Diamond and Pearl. Now people argued, Diamond and Pearl came out on the DS. We're not too far from the DS and the 3DS style of Pokemon. Do they really need to be remade, right? So people were, speculating that they weren't going to do it. Some were speculating they were. Here it is. It's here. It's finally here. I want to talk about it a little bit, so I'm going to read a little bit of news.
Please, yeah.
So the remakes are being developed by Ilka Incorporated, and they're the studio behind Pokemon Home, which is weird because Pokemon Home, if you don't know, isn't a game really. It's a
service.
Yeah, it's a service on the Nintendo Switch and on mobile phones. It essentially just lets you transfer Pokemon between, Pokemon Go and all the other mainline Pokemon games. You could store all your Pokemon there, transfer them between the games, etc.
Right.
So that's that. It's not being developed by a studio that we know. Game Freak really isn't working on it. However, I do want to mention that Ilka's Yuichi Ueda and Game Freak's Junichi Masuda are directing the games. So Masuda is a very famous person in the Pokemon world. He's responsible for a lot of things in Pokemon, but most notably, he was the original director of Diamond and Pearl. So it's a natural fit for him to be a part of this. And that kind of makes me less nervous because at least he's at the helm. Right. One thing that I noticed, Josh, that kind of, bothered me a little bit is that the graphics of this remake aren't what I was expecting necessarily. Okay. So as recent as Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, what we saw was the traditional overhead 2D Ruby and Sapphire games getting remade into the more modern Pokemon style where, the full character models are there. You can walk around in a 3D environment, a pseudo 3D environment, and you're not attached to that grid, right? The normal Pokemon grid style.
Right.
Whereas Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl have a chibi art style that almost looks like it's just a, retexturing or a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a remake. It's like a remaster where they just took the graphics and made them modern, right? It looks like it still has that 2D based grid style movement. Everybody is chibi. Now, however, the battle system is a little bit different. It looks more 3D. It looks more modern in that regard.
Right.
But the chibi overworld kind of, makes me nervous. And almost like, what's the point of... Is it going to be a one-for-one remake and it's not going to have any improvements? If that's the case, I'm not really interested, right?
Yeah.
I just play the originals. Or Platinum, which the third game in the franchise, Josh, is always like a combination of the first two with more features and all that. So there was Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. So Platinum would be the one to play out of those three.
Yeah, let me hop in here for a second. So I'm like, I am, I mean, maybe ignorance is bliss, I guess. But like you said, like I didn't play these games as a kid. Like, I mean, I think that the only Pokemon game I played as a kid was that I touched on Emerald.
Yeah.
Or something that generation, whichever one Trico was introduced in.
Yep. That's Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald.
Yeah, and that's it. And then the next Pokemon game that I would play would be Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu.
Yep.
And then Sword and Shield. So to me, from like an outsider, first of all, I want to say Pokemon fans are abysmal, my man. I mean, you cannot fucking please these human beings at all. Doesn't matter if you do, if you don't. Like, you do what they ask, and they're like, but what about X, Y, and Z? Like, first of all, just shut the fuck up, man. Like, chill out, dude.
Yeah.
If you don't want this, that's fine. Just go play the original then and just, like, leave. Just stop.
Yeah.
But for me, from, like, an outsider, I'm like, cool. I get to play this Pokemon game from way back in the day now that I'm, like, invested in Pokemon and see it in, like, a new light. First of all, the chibi art style doesn't bother me at all.
Doesn't bother me.
I find it kind of charming, actually.
It's cute.
And I'm just excited to like be able to play one of these games that I missed out on in a modern setting on my modern console, and kind of re-experience what that was like. And I think it was the same thing for like Let's Go Eevee. It was like a, you know, like a more watered down, reskin, beautiful version of like the original game that I got to experience and I really enjoyed. So to me, I'm like, cool, this is a win.
Yeah. Absolutely. And listen, I'm not knocking it. I don't want to say that. First of all, I don't think we needed it. That's just me. I don't think we needed a Gen 4 remake. However, we're getting it. I will play it. You know, the graphics don't bother me. It's just, it's interesting that they decided to go this route, is all. And I'm worried that the graphics are making me worried that they're not putting as much attention to detail into the remake aspect of it and just doing a remaster of it, if that makes any sense. Now, they are calling it, you know, Game Freak, Pokemon, they're all calling it a remake. So, lead you to believe it's a full remake, folks. Now, that's all well and good, Josh, you know. Gen 4 was great. Gen 4 is the one that, you know, back in the day when, you know, I'm sure you know my good friends Alvaro and Carlos. This was the gen that we bonded over. This was the one that we played. I remember going to New York City with Carlos, and we actually bought it at the Toys R Us in New York City. So, you know, I have a lot of fond memories of Diamond and Pearl. There's a lot of cool features that they added. It was the first one on the DS, so yeah, the dual screens. It was, you know, it was a big deal.
Right.
But even more of a big deal than that, Josh, is the fact that we are finally getting an open world Pokemon adventure video game. And Josh, it is called Pokemon Legends Arceus or Arceus. Now, back in the day, we always called him Arceus, but I'm hearing now his name is Arceus. So
yeah.
So what is Pokemon Legends Arceus? It is an open world Pokemon adventure, the next major entry in the franchise. It looks to be a huge evolution of the long-running RPG formula. The developers are describing it as a pre-make, which, hold on there, I'll explain that in a second. Which offers a new challenge and a new frontier for the Pokemon world. So, Josh, what the fuck is a pre-make? To me, go ahead. What do you think?
I think, first of all, it's a really fucking stupid name to classify something as.
I agree.
But I would assume it's a prequel of something that is already being remade or was already done. And this, it's like the region, right? It's like it's a fucking prequel.
Yeah.
Right? To like everything. So
yeah.
What?
Yeah. No, you're right. That's what I'm getting to. Is basically it's a prequel to Pokemon. From the videos we've seen and the screenshots we've seen and everything that's been released so far, it's a prequel. It's more feudal Japan or China. I'm not sure what Sinnoh's inspired by, but it takes place in the Sinnoh region, which, Josh, mind you, is the same region as Gen 4.
Right.
So that's going to be a cool contrast because you're going to play the remakes and then you're going to be able to play, you know, this new game in the same area.
Exactly. Which is smart for them to release them as such then too.
Absolutely. And a little more backstory for you. Arceus is a legendary Pokemon. He's not new. We've had him since Gen 4. And he is a legendary Pokemon that is actually the god of all Pokemon.
Oh.
So, Gen 4 has Dialga. He is, I believe, the master of time. And then there's Palkia, and he is the master of space. And then there is Giratina, which is the master of something else. And then Arceus is basically God. He created everything, all the Pokemon. Okay?
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's that. So that's why he's a big deal, and that's why the game's going to be all about like the legend of Arceus, I guess.
Yeah.
Some other cool things we saw. The Pokeballs are like old school steampunk looking Pokeballs. They have like little locks on them and little spouts on the top for steam to puff out when you catch the Pokemon. So I thought that was pretty cool. A little more here before you say anything. The story takes place in the Sinnoh region, which I mentioned, at a period that appears to be long before other Pokemon games, and it will include a number of iconic monsters like Piplup, and your choice of starters will include Rowlet, Oshawott, and Cyndaquil. And the game will launch worldwide on the Switch in early 2022. Mm-hmm. Now, before I touch on the starters, Josh, is there anything you want to mention here?
No, I'm just excited. I mean, this literally looks like Pokemon Breath of the Wild.
It does.
I'm an RPG fan. I'm an open world game fan. I'm a fan of this. I'm ready. I want it.
Okay. Last thing I'll touch on here. I mentioned the starters. So you got Rowlet, you got Oshawott, and you got Cyndaquil. Josh, the interesting thing here, my friend, is that these 3 Pokemon are not the original starters of Gen 4 of Sinnoh. So why are they included? Why are these 3 random Pokemon starters from different generations getting put together? Well, I've read a theory, Josh, that has to do with the final evolutions of these 3 Pokemon. Now, Rowlet, when it evolves, its final form is an archer. It's an owl that has a bow and arrow made of its feathers and its wings, okay? Oshawott turns into Samurott as its final evolution, which is clearly inspired by samurai. And Cyndaquil evolves into Typhlosion, which some are saying is like a brute or like a warrior. So people are speculating that these three Pokemon were chosen because they represent the archer, the samurai, and the warrior classes that you would see in like feudal video games or movies, right? So I thought that was an interesting touch, and that could be why. And if not, then I truly don't have any idea why these 3 were chosen. However, it's very obvious that Cyndaquil will be the best one and the one that you should choose, and that's all I'll say. And then finally, in the last little bit of Pokemon news, as I said, it is the 25th anniversary, and as of the time of recording this, last night was the Pokemon 25 concert event with Post Malone, and it was a visual masterpiece, I would say, of 3D animation in terms of the Pokemon and the worlds. Post Malone's animations were all right. As Christian, our good friend, pointed out, it was, mocap. Wasn't the best looking. However, it was I thought it was awesome. It was a good show, a good time. And you don't really see Pokemon doing this. It's a Japanese company. They're pretty conservative. And they have this American pop star rapper performing.
With a lot of tattoos.
He has a lot of tattoos. He curses a lot. He smokes cigarettes a lot. And they didn't care. They were like, you're a good musician. We're going to do this. And I think that's interesting. And, it's telling. Hopefully Pokemon's going in the right direction here. And they're going to loosen up their buttons a little bit,
Loosen up their butthole a little bit.
Precisely. So, yeah, I want to say, happy 25th anniversary to Pokemon. I've been a huge fan since I was literally born. And, I'm happy to see the franchise doing this well and doing new things and, taking risks. And, I'm excited. So please stop scalping the trading cards and let kids buy them.
Merry Christmas, Xbox.
Merry Christmas, Xbox.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Josh and Bret really need you too. I love them. So do it. It would be a shame if you miss more of their videos. Hit the notification bell too, so you know when there is a new upload.